So you think you're ready for that real estate exam? Well, let's find out with Texas state questions like a real exam. So here we go. Okay, so anybody watching on Facebook, remember to go to StreamYard.com/Facebook and give StreamYard permission to post your name on here, to post your name on StreamYard and other media that I am streaming to. Okay, and anybody watching the replay, this class is designed for students to participate during class. So, hey, fast forward if you don't want to wait for the answer while I give everyone an opportunity. Okay, we're on question 76. So, which of the following best describes the purpose of the Texas real estate license law? A, to promote the integrity and honesty of the general public in real estate transactions. B, to institute operable relationships between real estate licensees and their clients. C, to protect the public and to promote licensee competence. Or D, to ensure brokers exercise care and skill in developing regulations for their practices. So best describes the Texas real estate law. Okay, so this is a Texas question, as the questions on here are mixed Texas and national. So it applies for other states. However, this is a practice Texas real estate exam. So type your answer in the chat. So nobody answering? All right, so the answer is 76C, to protect the public and to promote licensee competence. That is the Texas real estate law purpose, to protect the public and to promote licensee competence. So 76C. Okay, number 77. Which of the following is a bona fide characteristic of TREC, Texas Real Estate Commission disciplinary procedures? Okay, disciplinary procedures, a bona fide characteristic. A, TREC issues a notice of violation and penalty to a licensee once it has concluded that a violation has occurred. Therefore, the violator has 60 days to request a hearing. B, if a suspension is imminent, the licensee is entitled to a hearing conducted by TREC Judiciary Committee. Gee, tongue-tied today. C, complaints are always investigated if the initial evidence warrants reasonable cause. Or D, complaints may be investigated whether the complainant is identified or remains anonymous. So there's always procedures, standard operating procedures that have to be followed. So think of that. And type your answer in the chat. All right, the answer here is C. Complaints are always investigated if the initial evidence warrants reasonable cause. So they will review, listen to both sides, investigate it before they actually set a hearing, if they find that it is valid. Number 78. Which of the following is not, okay, a brokerage activity requiring licensure? An auctioning real estate. B, offering to exchange real estate. C, selling an option to a buyer that the buyer refuses. Or D, advertising one's principal residence for sale. So which one is not an activity requiring licensure? Type your answer in the chat. All right, the answer is D, advertising one's principal residence for sale. Now, if we are licensed, of course, we can still sell our own residence as a for sale by owner. However, in order to sell our own property, we do not have to be licensed. Good morning, Cindy. All right, number 79. Which of the following parties does not have to have a real estate license to operate legally? Okay, which party does not have to have a real estate license to operate legally? A hostess at an open house who explains how the property's price was identified. B, answering services who confirm the terms of advertised property. C, an operator of a real estate rental agency. Or D, a person who supervises the licensees. And yes, the answer is B, answering services who confirm the terms of the advertised property. Number 80. Moving right along. Which of the following is true regarding licensure procedure procurement in Texas? So procurement, what is procurement? A, the applicant must be 18 years old and a U.S. citizen. B, active or veteran military personnel must meet education requirements but are exempt from passing the examination. C, an applicant need not be a citizen. Or D, applicants are terminated if all requirements are not completed within 6 months of the filing date. Just in case I didn't show 79. All right, so yes, great job, Cindy. 88, the applicant must be 18 years old and a U.S. citizen. 81, what is the Texas Continuing Education, which we call them CE, continuing education requirements in the subsequent renewal periods following completion of the post-license requirements? So remember, you get your license, then there's continuing education every 2 years, and the first 2 years you have post-license requirements, right? Those are 90 hours. So A, 6 hours for salesperson and 15 hours for broker. B, 9 hours for salesperson and 15 hours for brokers. C, 15 hours for brokers and salespersons, including a 3-hour broker responsibility course. Or D, 18 hours for both salesperson and brokers, including 4 hours of legal updates and 4 hours of ethics. And we actually are required to take Legal Update 1 and Legal Update 2, and each one of those is 4 hours. Oh, okay. Well, I didn't tell you the total number of hours. So type your answer in the chat. Yes, the answer is D. Very good. 18 hours for both salesperson and brokers, including 4 hours of legal updates. And actually, it is 8 hours of legal updates. Legal update 1 and legal update 2. And then the ethics is additional that you take after during 2 years, which is excellent because now we have more ethical and law understanding realtors. Okay, number 82. Which of the following is a violation of license law? Okay, violation of license law. A, disclosing confidential information. B, having one's broker compensate a licensed party for a referral after the closing has occurred. C, informing a buyer that the seller client will take a 95% offer even if authorized by the seller. D, a sponsoring broker paying a licensed applicant a referral. So which one is a violation of license law? Read the question and the answers carefully. The answer is D, a sponsoring broker paying a licensed applicant a referral fee. Okay, it didn't say paying a licensee, it says a licensed applicant. The reason why A is not considered a violation is if confidential information is required by a court, then it has to be released. It is not always a must. We must keep our client's information confidential. However, required by law, then it has to be disclosed. The little key word on D is applicant. Okay? Licensed applicant, not a licensed agent or licensed realtor. Number 83. You're my kitty cat in the background. And they already got fed, man. All right, 83. A sales agent becomes aware of material defect in the property septic field. Disclosing this fact would be detrimental to the client's interest. What should the agent do? A, inform the seller that it would be preferable to include the septic field issue in the property condition report. B, disclose the defects and said it's a material fact concerning the property's condition. Or C, conceal the defects since it violates the agent's fiduciary duty of promoting the client's best interest. Or D, conceal the defect since it is something that an agent would not normally know about. Hey, Cindy is quickie today. Hi, Lisbeth. Yes, number 83 is B. Disclose the defects since it is a material fact concerning the property's condition. Anything that we are aware of or that the client lets us know and writes in the seller's disclosures, okay, must be disclosed. It is a property defect. Number 84. Which of the following is a required disclosure to be completed in writing prior to closing? Okay, prior to closing. A, that the buyer is well advised to obtain an appraisal prior to closing. B, that the seller should obtain an inspection. C, that the buyer should have an attorney examine the title abstract or get title insurance. D, that the buyer should obtain a pre-approval for a loan sufficient in the amount to qualify for a given price range. Okay, so this is disclosure, required disclosure to be completed in writing prior to closing. So what is the answer for that? All right, so far I've got Lisbeth with C. Anybody else? At least that's what I see correctly. Yes, the answer is C, that the buyer should have an attorney examine the title abstract or get title insurance. So we recommend that to when we're representing a buyer, for them to request title insurance to make sure that they learn the history of the title and make sure there aren't any encumbrances, that it is free and clear to convey. Number 85. Which of the following is a listing requirement without which subjects licensees to license suspension? A listing requirement without which subjects licensees to license suspension. A, specification of a termination date. B, a complete legal description. C, the specific financial penalty for failure to complete a sale. Or D, the licensee's marketing plan. Which of the following is a listing requirement? All right, so far we've got A from Lisbeth. And yes, the answer is A. Specification of a termination date. Listing agreements or listing contracts have a start date and an end date. They do have a complete legal description. They do have it could be a brief legal description. Okay. Actually, it is the legal description. However, it has to have a termination date. That's why we have 3 months, sometimes 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. Typical is 6 months, 180 days. However, usually there's no such thing as typical. Termination date, because it does not automatically renew. Okay, listings have to be extended if the seller is willing to do that. So prior to the expiration, okay, then we ask the seller if they're provide them with a new strategy, okay, in order to educate them about why it's important to extend, because they still probably want to sell. If not, it goes to expired and other realtors start contacting the seller in order to get that listing. Number 86. TREC, Texas Real Estate Commission, makes a payment from the recovery fund to satisfy a judgment against a licensee. Which of the following applies? A, TREC must make a one-time increase in fees to licensees to recoup the deficit caused by the payment. B, TREC may revoke the licensee's license until he or she makes a complete repayment with interest. C, the licensee's license is canceled for 3 years. Or D, the licensee must refund the recovery account within 90 days or have his or her license revoked. Okay, welcome back, Carter. Welcome back, Sandy. Cindy's letting us know she's back. I start thinking of movies and songs. I almost typed the wrong answer. Yes, 86. The answer is B. So TREC may revoke the licensee's license until he or she makes a complete repayment with interest. Let's see, Cindy, you type D. The licensee must refund the recovery account within 90 days or have his or her license revoked. So the law states that the licensee must repay amounts that were paid out on his or her behalf to satisfy a judgment. It does not stipulate a 90-day period. Okay, so that's why D is not correct. It doesn't stipulate 90 days. Therefore, the best answer is that TREC may revoke the licensee's license until they complete their payment. They could probably do a payment plan. Number 87. There are numerous requirements associated with managing a trust account. Okay, a trust account. Which of the following is not, not such a requirement? A, the account need not be identified as a trust account. B, earned commission must be withdrawn within 30 days of when they became earned. C, all withdrawals must be documented. Or D, the broker may keep an amount of non-trust fund monies in the account to cover bank fees. Type your answer in the chat. Oh my gosh. My fingers are doing weird stuff here. Oh, no. 87 is A. The account need not be identified as a trust account. So now I'm getting, oh shoot, I typed 86A again. Okay, anybody watching the replay, I typed 86A, and that is not correct. That should be 87A. 86 was B. So wake up, Lillie, wake up. So 87 is A. 86 was B. Excuse the boo-boo. All right, number 88. So Lisbeth, yes, I mean, the broker can have certain monies in there to cover bank fees. So that would not be considered, that is something that would be allowed and not considered commingling, even though I said it would be. But then I'm thinking, okay, wait a minute. What happens if there's not enough money on there? And you know how some accounts require that you have $1,000 or $500 or $2,000 or something like that. And if it goes below that, okay, if there's not a lot of business going on so that there's always sufficient money in there, there may be an $8 or $10 monthly service fee, right? And that service fee is for the broker, okay, not for the client. So correction on that. So 88, real estate advertising must not be deceptive. Which of the following it would be considered an unacceptably deceptive advertisement or practice? Which one would be considered an unacceptable? Okay, unacceptable. Read, Lillie. A for sale advertisement continues to run for 5 days after the closing. B, a licensee advertises another agent's listing without mentioning the listing's agent's name. C, an ad states that a property is used in agriculture even though there is no farm on the property. Or D, an ad promotes an office to be under new management when in fact the new manager has been there over a month. Type your answer in the chat. So the answer is, hi, Carlos, thanks for joining us, is actually B. A licensee advertises another agent's listing without mentioning the listing agent's name. So typically, if you see on Zillow, Trulia, or other website, it says listing by so-and-so, and it'll automatically show it like on the MLS. So if we end up advertising something and not giving credit to whoever the listing belongs to, okay, that is unacceptable. So it says this is specifically defined as illegal, deceptive advertising since the property's true brokerage representation has not been disclosed. Okay, because who do the listings belong to? The broker, right? And typically it'll say the broker. A lot of times it'll also have the realtor's name. And however, if you're advertising it, you want buyers and sellers to call you, right? So you'll have your information, your email, your phone number so that they can call you. So property for sale ads must be discontinued after 10 days. If the property sale is closed or the listing terminates, then there is no deception in ad states agriculture used in the fact of zoning is agriculture, whether a farm exists or not. So that was for the other answers, okay? Because, you know, farms, land that is used for growing crop is not necessarily a farm, okay? It is agricultural land, and farm also has agricultural land, right? So just a clarification there. 89, which of the following best describes an intermediary? Definitions, right? A dual agent who represents a buyer and a seller regardless of who the broker is. B, an agent, oh, I need to change the screen here. An agent who represents a buyer or seller in a transaction without fiduciary obligation to the represented party. C, a licensee who facilitates a buyer and seller in consummating a transaction without becoming involved as an agent to either party. D, a dual agent with a single brokerage who owes fiduciary duties to both parties. Which of the following best describes an intermediary? So this is a Texas question. So we have so far D. It is not D, Cindy, so take another attempt at it. The answer is actually C. Okay, not B, not D. The answer is B, an agent who represents a buyer or a seller in a transaction without fiduciary obligation to the represented party. Okay, so the brokers are also called, sometimes can be called an agent, all right? However, we normally identify them as a broker. So intermediaries are essentially transaction facilitators who do not represent either party from the standpoint of owing fiduciary duties. Okay, so the parties are represented by the broker's associate. Okay, so the clients are represented. Okay, however, the broker, okay, is like a neutral party, okay, that actually represents that, but cannot advise or negotiate for them. They're a mediator, right? They facilitate the transaction if it's needed to come to a decision, okay, by the buyer and the seller. So they would be like a mediator asking both sides, questions, but no advice. Well, yes, but keep in mind, Cindy, that these are questions meant for Texas, right? And in Texas, we use intermediary. In other states, that they use dual agent, that a broker is a dual agent. But Texas and other states that have intermediary and only represent one client, okay, then they're not called dual agents. So those other states are called dual agents, not intermediaries. They can represent both sides. So it's not that I said it's a Texas question. The key word is intermediary. That makes it a Texas question. Okay. So it is an agent who facilitates a buyer and seller in consummating a transaction without becoming involved as an agent to either party. Oh, did I read the wrong one? Yes, I read the wrong one. Okay. I said C and I read B, an agent who represents a buyer or a seller. No. X that out. Sometimes brokers are called agents because they work as realtors. Okay, but a broker is a broker. Sorry, I read the wrong answer. C, a licensee who facilitates a buyer and a seller in consummating a transaction. That licensee is the broker. Okay, that's an intermediary, right? Because the broker is licensed. They're a licensee. Broker, salesperson, sales agent, realtor. Okay, we're all licensees. And so it is a licensee who facilitates a buyer and a seller in consummating a transaction without becoming involved as an agent to either party. So I don't know why I read B, but I typed the right answer, okay? So Texas had wasn't the key word that I stated. It's just that it's intermediary, okay? No dual agency in Texas. We have intermediary. Number 90. The central purpose of the information about brokerage services brochure, IABS, that's what we advertise it as or abbreviate it. A, to inform consumers just what it is that agents do to earn their commission. B, to shed light of the advantages and disadvantages of the exclusive listing versus selling or buying without representation. C, to explain to prospects the types of relationships they may choose with licensees and what services they get for each alternative. D, to explain to consumers why it is far preferable legally and economically to list with agents and the many ways they can do that successfully. So information about brokerage services. A little bit of maybe common sense, maybe not. So we have a C so far. And yes, the answer is C. to explain to prospects the type of relationships they may choose with licensees and what services they get for each alternative. So of course, if a client is going to be a buyer, they're going to choose a buyer, right? So it says that, so it's the types of relations they may choose. So if they're a buyer, they're not going to choose a seller. But let's say they are going to be both. They're going to sell and they're going to buy, right? So before they buy, they've got to sell. So now they're going to choose which relationship are they going to have with that realtor. Okay, and they can actually have both. They're going to sell and then they're going to buy. So let's see, we had a B, and what else? No. So B is to shed light on the advantages and disadvantages of the exclusive listing. No, it has nothing to do with the exclusive listing. It's to explain, which the differences between a broker, buyer agent, and a listing agent, and where they can, also contact, track if they and an intermediary, okay, because we're in Texas, right? So it explains all that, and the buyer or seller gets to choose which licensee they're going to use. So they have an alternative so that they understand it. If they're going to be a buyer, well, they're only going to choose buyer. If they're going to be a seller, then they only choose seller. However, if they're going to do both, sell and buy, then they can choose the same agent to do both, because they're going to, and that's a situation that we want when we're working with sellers. Okay. Number 91. There are several requirements for establishing an intermediary relationship. Okay, again, intermediary, several requirements. Which one is not a requirement? A, each party to the agreement must give written consent. B, the agreement must stipulate the duty of confidentiality to either buyer or seller. C, how and who will compensate the agent must be set forth. Or D, the duties of the intermediary must be clearly identified. Type your answer in the chat. So we've got a good crowd today on Saturday. Lots of you must be wanting to pass or take your exam real soon. The answer is 91B. The agreement must stipulate the duty of confidentiality to either buyer or seller. And so the listing agreement, so that must, which of the following is not a requirement? The agreement must stipulate the duty of confidentiality to either buyer or seller. So the agreement and the listing agreement and the contract, it asks the buyer or the seller whether they will accept intermediary, being that a broker, a brokerage, okay, will represent both clients, or no intermediary. They don't want the same broker to have both sides of the transaction. And why could that be? Well, sometimes they think, oh, realtors within the same company, they work to their interest and not to the interest of the client. And, that is illegal. So sometimes clients will not want it, and we'll have to check not intermediary type of relationship. So it's not about confidentiality, right? It has to do whether they accept the same brokerage to represent both sides of a transaction or not. So if the buyer or the seller states that, then when a listing is done and the buyer is working with a realtor from that transaction, they'll have to refer it out. Okay, so they can still get a referral fee. It just cannot be under that same brokerage to have both sides. Oh my gosh, I typed the wrong answer. Dang, I got to wake up. Got to be careful here. I almost did it again. No, okay, never mind. I type it correct. So that one is not a requirement, B, okay? Sorry. It says how and who will compensate the agent must be set forth. That is set forth in the listing agreement, okay? Or if the buyer, when the buyer agent has the buyer client and the buyer signs, then there's a section that if for some reason the buyer has to pay the agent, it'll specify the commission on there or a percentage or a rate. Let's say that they want a for sale by owner and the for sale by owner doesn't want to pay, right? Then it'll clearly state, okay, what's the commission that they're going to pay. And so we educate them about that. Okay. However, which one is not a requirement? Confidentiality to buyer or seller. Okay, that's an automatic. That's our fiduciary duty. So 92. Which of the following accurately characterizes the relationship between brokers and sponsored sales agents? A, the sales agent is required to identify and abide by a loyalty commitment to the broker. Okay, keywords, all right. Characterizes relationship between broker and sponsored agent. A, sales agent required to identify and abide by loyalty commitment. B, the sales agent must stipulate what license activities he or she will commit to and over what period of time. C, the broker is obligated to identify and communicate the sales agent's authorized activities. Or D, the broker must delegate all responsibilities for delineated activities to be conducted by sponsored sales agents. No, 92 is not A. Take another attempt. Type your answer in the chat. Yes, 92 is C. The broker is obligated to identify and communicate the sales agent's authorized activities, right? It is our own independent business. However, we're hanging our license under a particular broker. So they review what our authorized activities are, sales agents' activities. Hi, Carol. Thanks for joining us. And I'm going to go back to 91 for a moment, just because I noticed one or two individuals that answered, let's see, I had A, C, and B. So I'm going to backtrack here. So several requirements for establishing an intermediary relationship. Okay, which one is not a requirement? So the answer says intermediary agreements are specifically designed to avoid one-sidedness. Okay, so they're neutral. The intermediary can't be with one side or the other. So confidentiality to one person would not be acceptable. So it is one of our duties. And then confidentiality to one party would not be acceptable. Duties, however, must be spelled out as well as the compensation plan. So and then let's see who else answered. You had C. We had C and CBA. Let's see, not a require. How and will compensate. No, I did mention that. Okay, we do have to know we are providing a service that needs to be compensated. Okay, so when it says not a requirement, how will compensate the agent must be set forth. That is the requirement. Okay, so just wanted to go back and do that. All right, number 93. Licensees must be compensated according to certain regulations. One of the most important regulations regarding compensation is that A, the sales agent may only receive compensation from the sponsoring broker. B, sales agents must abide by the standards rate of compensation of commission prevalent in the social market. C, sales agents cannot receive compensation from sales agents or principals, only other brokers. And D, sales agents and brokers comply with commission guidelines promulgated by the TREC, Texas Real Estate Commission. So what is one of the important regulations regarding compensation? One of the most important. So look at it, says licensees must be compensated according to certain regulations. The most important, one of the most important regulations is no, it is not D. Commissions are not promulgated, by TREC. It's not a promulgated document. Okay, those are, remember, negotiated with the client, between broker and client, and usually it's with the sales agent, who is associate of the broker and the client. However, all transactions belong to the broker, right? So yes, the answer is A. 93A. The sales agent may only receive compensation from whom? From our broker, right? Everything goes through the broker. And if you have your own company and you're the broker, then you're paying yourself. However, that's not typical. Because why? In Texas, it takes 4 years before you can consider taking additional hours and passing an exam to become a broker. So 93A, and we have answers B and D. Yeah, B says sales agents must abide by the standard rate of commission. There is no standard rate, okay? There is no monopoly. Commission is negotiable with the client and the broker. And then we had D, sales agents and brokers, right? There is no promulgated guideline, okay, for commission rates. All right, number 94. Which of the following is an exception to the must-use rule concerning promulgated contracts? So let's read it correctly, okay? Because even I make mistakes and I'm reading them to you. So which of the following is an exception to the must-use rule concerning promulgated contracts? A, in transactions where there is no promulgated forms, licensee can use a form approved by the Texas Real Estate Broker Lawyer Committee. B, in sale contract transactions where both principal parties insist on using a previously used form. C, in transactions where the principal or the principal's immediate family member is a licensee. Or D, there are no exceptions to the must-use rule. So which of the following is an exception to the must-use rule? So far, we've got A and B. And it is not B. The answer is A. In transactions where there is no promulgated forms, licensees can use a form approved by the Texas Real Estate Broker Lawyer Committee, right? Because that's who ends up doing the 13-member committee, right? Creates the promulgated contracts. So there's 6 brokers, 6 lawyers, and 1 civilian. So they can approve that document. So that is an exception to the must-use rule. Now, another one is if a real estate attorney, okay, if the client, let's say in B, in sales transact where both principal parties insist on using a previously used form. No. When a form is updated, we must use the new form. And I know for a reason, because, you know, sometimes contracts get updated, right? And we get informed, but if we miss the notification, we might use an old form, or we already have our templates, okay, and we click and use an old template. Our compliance department will let us know that has to be redone. So we've got to complete an updated form and have the clients sign it. So we can't use previously used forms just because they're comfortable with that. We have to follow the law. So the only exception is A. So any other ones? C, in transactions where the principals or the principal's immediate family member, no. No, licensees have to follow and use the promulgated contracts that are currently been approved. So S94A. All right, number 95. Which of the following is a violation of license law? A, discouraging a seller from hiring an attorney. B, an attorney advising a client on real estate matters without a real estate license. C, using a promulgated contract for a suited purpose, even though it may not be necessary. D, refusing to rewrite a contract clause requested by a buyer who couldn't understand it. Which one is a violation of law, of license law? Let's make sure we read the answers carefully. So type your answer in the chat. Okay, so far we have A and A. Anyone else? And yes, the answer is A, discouraging a seller from hiring an attorney. Sometimes clients will go to a real estate attorney, okay, to close the transaction. So if a client wants to go to an attorney, they want to take the contracts, you say, please do so. Because that's what attorneys do, right? They write contracts, they read and explain contracts. So we cannot discourage them from that. Number 96. What is the essential purpose of Texas homestead laws? A, to give families the tax break on portions of the value of their principal residence. B, to protect a family's residence from a unilateral conveyance by one party or a forced sale to collect the debt. C, to give a family immunity from the collection of debts. Or D, to prevent husbands from gambling away all interest in the property. God, I feel like I should be having some music in the background. When I work, I usually have music in the background. What is the purpose, essential purpose of the Texas Homestead Law? So there's several definitions, okay, or vocabulary within the question, within the answers. All right, yes, the answer is B, to protect a family's residence from a unilateral conveyance by one party or a forced sale to collect a debt. If it's a married couple, both have to agree, okay, to a homestead sale. And it's a two-sided, it's a bilateral transaction, right? So essential purpose, to protect a family's residence from a unilateral conveyance by one party or a forced sale to collect a debt. So unilateral conveyance is just one party conveying it instead of both. And that's when you have a married individual or multiple family members, okay? Because you could have tenancy in common. And so in a homestead, it'll prevent them, protect them from only one person conveying. Or credit card companies forcing you to sell and put liens on your property. They cannot. Property taxes, yes. Mortgages, yes. They can put liens on your property. And they can also, property taxes and mortgages, okay, deed of trust can foreclose on our property. So when it says a forced sale to collect the debt, that is for other debts other than property taxes and mortgages, okay? Number 97. Deceptive trade practices, as codified in the Deceptive Trade Practices Act, are strictly prohibited in real estate practice. 3 of the following instances are examples, but 1 is acceptable. Okay, so 3 are deceptive, 1 is acceptable. Which one is it? A, telling a buyer that a property price has been drastically reduced. B, bragging about a warranty that doesn't apply to give a claim, to a given claim. C, disparaging competitors with non-factual innuendos. Or D, telling a buyer that an air condition will easily last another 5 years. So so 3 of the following are examples of deceptive trade practices. Which one is not? All right, so far we've got an A. Come on, be brave, take the risk, type your answer. Even if you just say like, oh man, I think it's this, type it. Hi, Delta Airsoft, Air Force, Airsoft. Thanks for joining us. All right. Everybody's on a roll. Yes, it is A. Telling a buyer that a property's price has been drastically reduced. It's public notice, right? That'll be on Zillow, Trulia, Homes.com, other websites. Because properties that are listed on the MLS, as soon as they're updated, there's a change, price reduction, increase, back on market, active option. Okay, it sends out to all the syndicated websites. Number 98. Okay, it's going to end up being small. Well, not real small, but okay, 98. In essence, the statute of frauds states which of the following? A, to be enforceable, all contracts must be in writing. B, conveyance contracts and leases must be in writing to be enforceable. C, conveyance contracts and leases exceeding 1 year must be in writing to be enforceable. B, both oral and written conveyance contracts are enforceable unless fraudulent. Type your answer in the chat. Hey, look, I'm always 21. I froze my age at 21. This is my favorite cup, even though it has a crack. 21, 21. I'm 21 at heart. I'm a kid at heart. All right, let's see. I've got C, 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 wee, D. And everybody done? Yes, the answer is C. Conveyance contracts and leases exceeding 1 year must be in writing to be enforceable. Okay, so Carlos, you said both oral and written conveyance contracts are enforceable unless fraudulent. No. So conveyance contracts and leases exceeding 1 year must be in writing. That is a must, because remember, we do have leases less than a year that can be oral. So conveyance contracts and leases exceeding 1 year must be in writing to be enforceable. See, leases are usually the deed is not conveyed, right? However, they're conveyed for a certain period of time. They can use them, enjoy them. They're just when it expires and it goes back to the owner. Or it, let's see, goes to the remainder man. It reverts or goes back. It reverts or goes to a remainder man. So keep that in mind. Leases less than a year can be oral. So in essence, statute of fraud states which of the following: conveyance contracts and leases. So any property that's going to be conveyed, signed by a seller, and leases that are being rented exceeding 1 year must be in writing to be enforceable. Number 99. A leasing company representing the landlord takes and processes apartment applications and charges applicants a fee for their subsequent screening work. To conduct this business properly, which of the following must occur? So some states don't allow leases, but here in Texas, we do leases as realtors, as agents, as brokers. So which of the following must, okay, it's a must, occur? A, the landlord must disclose that the deposit will be returned if the applicant is rejected. B, the tenant must acknowledge that he or she has been informed of the selection criteria and the grounds for denial. C, prospective tenants who have paid a fee must be processed within 48 hours. Or D, application fees must be applied to the rent if the applicant is accepted. So it says the landlord takes and processes apartment applications. So leasing companies, property management companies, and charges applicants a fee for their subsequent screening work. To conduct this business properly, which of the following must occur? All right, we have so far 99B. I'll give you another moment. Type your answer in the chat. Come on, come on. No, it's not A. Yes, the answer is B. the tenant must acknowledge that he or she has been informed of the selection criteria and the grounds for denial. So typically in the application, they say, okay, there's a fee and the fee is not returnable. If you're rejected, you have to have a certain credit score, make so much money per month. So they'll let you know what all the requirements are. And they've got to acknowledge that they understand and that they have been informed. Not just anybody. I mean, anybody, right, can apply. However, they're going to be rejected. And they ask why. Well, we informed you of these requirements, selection criteria. Oh, darn, I forgot to type 98 on the other one. So you're going to see 98 coming up on StreamYard. Okay, so 99B. Huh, that's strange. Usually when I type my answer on Facebook, it'll show on StreamYard. I just noticed that it's not. I wonder if I'm typing it in the wrong place. I probably am. So just bear with me a moment. All right, so if anybody is watching on Facebook and you don't see the answers, I may have been typing them in the wrong place. So come back to YouTube, okay, on the video and see the answers there, okay? And yes, I was typing the answers in the wrong place, even though some of you were replying there. All right, so now I get to type it in the right place. So now it's going to show up over here. Yeah, you see that? Okay, so there's several of you that are watching on Facebook, Lisbeth and Carol. And a lot of times you ask me, what is the answer? So in order to see the answers on this lesson, okay, make sure you go to the YouTube session, unless I go back and independently type them in there, which I may do that. I was typing them on the event section and not the actual video, live video. Okay, number 100. So let's everybody get this one right. It's the last question of the exam. Okay, this was 100 questions and we've been doing 25 on each session. So, well, that's if I can get it all on one page. Gee, I'm struggling with this. Okay, there's 100. One of the most important foundations in landlord-tenant relationships is the concept of habitability. Vocabulary, I keep repeating vocabulary. Okay, the concept of habitability is landlord-tenant relations generally holds that, what? A, repairs affecting habitability must be made within 48-hour time period from the tenant's notice. B, residential landlords must, at their expense, maintain the rental premises in such a condition that the health and safety of the tenant is not adversely affected in any material way. C, the tenant must maintain the habitability of the premises as it existed upon taking occupancy. Or D, the tenant is responsible for repairs inside of the premises while the landlord is responsible for habitability of the overall property. So if you're a landlord, yes, Carol, you see the answers live. That is correct, because that's on StreamYard. But if you happen to go back to rewatch the Facebook, the the replay on Facebook, it's not going to show the answers like we're doing it here on live, because I'm streaming with StreamYard to Facebook and to YouTube. Okay, let's finish this question. Type your answer in the chat for 100. So Cindy, Delta got B, Carol has A. The answer is actually B. Residential landlords must, at their expense, maintain the rental premises in such a condition that the health and safety of the tenant is not adversely affected in any material way. So that is a responsibility of the landlord. So if you decide to become an investor and you have apartments, it must be habitable. Everything must be working. And especially no mold, because that creates a lot of health issues, okay, respiratory issues. All right, 100 was B. It is the landlord's responsibility. Sorry, I meant to type B. Okay, Carol, you meant to type B. Yeah, it's kind of like me typing some of the wrong answers. All right, so hold on. Let me see. Somebody else typed a different. Okay, A. Repairs affecting habitability must be made within 48 hours from the period. No. So that is not the most important foundation. They must be made. Okay. However, like during COVID, there was a problem having plumbers. So unfortunately, sometimes those tenants, they had to wait longer than 48 hours to have that repair done, because plumbers were just booked out, days, weeks later. I know, because I had that happen. A water heater had to be replaced, right? So, but in a normal situation, some of these repairs can be made within 24 hours. And we have to give the tenant notice as to when the appointment's going to happen. And we usually have to give them 24 hours notice, unless it's an urgent situation, as plumbing busted, no power, things like that. Okay. If it's in the landlord's control, they've got to make the repair as soon as possible. If it's in the control of the city, then it's out of our control and out of the landlord's control. Okay. All right. So I've got some questions. So Cindy says, are you going to do a little more of this? I can. I'll have to go back to the beginning. And let's see, somebody else said something. Okay, Delta says, I've got a question. I got a question. What is your question? So what is your question, Delta? I'm going to change my screens here. I ended up moving things around. Okay, let's see. Can an agent buy their own listing? Yes, they can. They'll have another realtor, represent them instead of them represent themselves, because that's what probably most brokers are going to want them to do. So if it's a viable offer and it's legal and the seller accepts, yes, a realtor can buy their own listing. However, it's not typical. And I have bought my own listings, when they haven't sold in the market. I'm an investor. And so we've done everything possible to sell that property, Delta, and it doesn't sell. We've advised the sellers to make maybe some updates or modifications or remodeling or clean it up and it's not done, or it's in a location that it's not desirable for everyone, or let's say they're in a tight situation where if it's not sold by a certain deadline, it could be foreclosed, and or it's been overpriced and they haven't wanted to listen to the realtor. Okay, because even we as realtors sometimes think, you know, our property is worth more. Then a realtor has done everything possible in our fiduciary duty and it hasn't sold. Okay. So as an investor, you know, I have advised my clients when they're about ready to terminate the listing or it's about to expire, and they know that I'm an investor, I'll say, I will discuss this, you know, should we not sell it, okay, as a multiple listing service listing, okay, to someone else. And should you decide to take it off the market, let's say they're considering to rent it instead of sell it. I said, look, after we take it, after it expires, I'm also an investor and we can discuss my purchasing your property. So I've had my accountant, okay, let clients know that, you know, they had the same accountant that I did, let them know, hey, Lily's an investor and she buys properties. So I can't discuss it in detail or anything like that until it hasn't sold. I have to justify that I did everything possible. Okay, so we've got to justify first that we did everything possible to sell that property. However, if the seller asks us, hey, you can buy my property, and I do a, you know, I make an offer that's according to the market value, or they want a quick sale, okay, and they're willing to accept less, and they tell us, hey, buy it from me for this price. Yes. So some brokerages actually buy the listing. They say, if it doesn't sell within 30 days, we will buy it. Okay, so yes, that is acceptable, as long as everything is legal and no one is being coerced to do anything and we don't have any hidden agenda. So there are brokerages that are investors, that are realtors, that will say, we will sell it in 30 days or buy it. You can also see it from other companies. I think Zillow was doing that, and other, what do they call it? iBuyer companies, okay, that they listed and they buy them. So yes, good question. Any other questions? And I know Cindy is saying, can we do some more? All right, so I'm trying to remember, Cindy, are you needing state questions only or both national and state? I'm thinking you're only needing state questions. So type it in the chat. And so that'll depend what I'll do. Just Texas. Okay, so let's do a few Texas questions. All right, so let me ask you another question. What is your weak point on your exams? Is it real estate commission, licensing regulations, standards and conducts in brokerage practices, agency and brokerage relationships, contracts, or special topics? Those are the different categories that you'll get on the exam. So which area is your weakness? So type that in the chat, okay, while I get a cup of coffee. So if you find out which is your weak area, because your exams will let you know. Brokerage and agency and standards of conduct. Okay. Let's do, so that's two separate sections. So you said brokerage and agency first. So let's do some of that. So let me get set up with that, okay? So give me a moment here while I get set up to go to that. So this is number 5. We're going to do, okay. We're going to do agency and brokerage relationships. So I need a few moments to transition. Because it probably doesn't sell. Can you make under market offer? Well, yes, of course. The agreement will be between the seller and the realtor. So if it doesn't sell under the listed price, okay, it's probably, overpriced. And so then the seller is willing to accept something for less? Yes. Mm-hmm. All right, so that's going to be what test number 14. So just bear with me on here while I get this out of the way. Any other questions? So bring me some questions that I can hopefully answer for you. All right, agency and brokerage. Oh, I need to share the screen, huh? So anybody watching the replay, okay, I'm transitioning and answering some questions. So just fast forward if you want to review just Texas questions, because the exam that I was just reviewing had the Texas and national questions mixed in together. So now we're transitioning to just Texas state questions for agency and brokerage services. Wrong share. So let me stop. I've got to stop the share screen and reshare the right screen. Okay, do you all see the screen? Yes. Okay, so let's do a few questions on agency and brokerage relationships. All right, there we go. Number 1, agency and brokerage relationship. Which of the following are acceptable sanctioned brokerage relationships in Texas? A, buyer agency and seller agency only. No subagency, no dual agency. B, buyer, seller, and subagency. C, transaction brokerage only. Or D, buyer and seller agency, subagency, and intermediary representation. So remember, the IABS explains what choices a buyer and a seller have. So what types of relationships, agency relationships, can we have? A, B, C, or D? So far I have 1D. Question mark, Cindy. The answer is correct. It is 1D. We have buyer and seller agency, sub-agency, and intermediary representation, right? When the broker represents both sides, then that's intermediary. Sub-agency is when the buyer is not represented, so the sub-agent that's writing the contract for that buyer is actually representing the seller. Brokers are going to want you to have a buyer representation agreement signed, okay? And therefore, there won't be sub-agency. Some brokerage will not allow us to do sub-agency. So like mine, eXp Realty, we don't do sub-agency. However, that is one of the brokerage relationships that we have in Texas. And then when you're representing the buyer or representing the seller. Okay. And now let me, you know what? I should let you all know what book, in case anybody ends up, has bought the book and wants to know what book we're using. This is the book we're using. So towards the end of the book, there's an exam with 100 questions that we did in 4 sessions. Okay, series 1 through 4, Texas real estate exam, right? So we finished that today, and now we're doing just chapter 14 or test 14 of the Texas state, because the book is divided this way here. Okay, where you have Texas national sections, okay, and then the Texas license examination sample, which is what we finished. Okay, so you have different sections here, the explanation, and then it goes to practice tests. Okay, number 2. Dang. Which of the following best defines an agent per Texas statute? A broker who represents a party in a real estate transaction or who lists real estate under an exclusive agreement. B, a broker who holds a real estate license. C, a broker who sells and leases real estate. D, a person who exclusively represents buyers and sellers in an intermediary relationship transaction. So which of the following best describes an agent per Texas statute 1101.557? Type your answer in the chat. Come on, come on. It is not C, so take another attempt. Yes, the answer is A. A broker who represents a party in a real estate transaction or who lists real estate under an exclusive agreement. Right? When we have an exclusive agreement, it can be exclusive agency agreement or an exclusive right to sell agreement. They're both considered exclusive agreements, okay? And Let's see. Cindy, you had C, but you changed it, so that's good. Okay, you initially had the broker must negotiate. Oh, no. So you initially had B, a broker who holds a real estate license. No, what defines an agent? Remember, we have real estate agents, okay? But it's someone who, because a broker has to hold an agent, okay? So which one is the best definition? A broker who represents a party in a real estate transaction or who lists real estate under an exclusive agreement. And they said agent, okay, so the answer could have had a sales agent, okay, on there. However, it put a broker because they're the one who actually represent the clients, right? And the associate actually is the one that deals with the clients, but as an associate of the broker. 43. Yes, you thought it was C. Very good. Okay. Well, good. I'm glad you get it. So number 3, a broker in an agency relationship must comply with which of the following agency-related regulations? A, the broker must present all full price offers to the seller. B, the broker must disclose receipt of all offers. C, the broker must negotiate a seller's listing price. Or D, the broker must refrain from interfering in negotiations with represented principals for 90 days following the expiration of the listing. So type your answer in the chat. Come on, come on. Okay, so far I've got a B, A. It is not A. So take a quick change of heart. Change your decision on that. It's not A. Because look carefully. The A says all full price offers. No. It says in an agency relationship, a broker must comply with which of the following? Must disclose receipt of all offers is the answer. Okay. Full price offers or lowball offers or any other kind of offers must be presented. Okay. It must be disclosed. So the answer would be, keep that in mind, that all offers must be disclosed, okay, and presented to the seller. Now, we must disclose them. And if the seller says, no, okay, I don't accept that price, okay, then we inform the other realtor. In some states, in Texas, a seller can wait, not respond, counter, okay, reject, or accept. Let's see, we have a question. Full price is the asking price? Yes, full price is the asking price. That is the listed price. Tricky, must read carefully. Yes, okay. So must disclose receipt of all offers. So we're going to receive the offers first as a realtor, as a broker. And we're going to inform the seller. Let's say the seller is not available. We're going to call the seller, leave a message, and then they'll call us back. But we call and we inform them, okay? We disclose that we have an offer, no matter what kind of an offer it is. and then we'll either meet in person or review it over a phone call, over a Zoom call, or share it online, and they will review it and make a decision. Okay. However, we disclose it, and then we determine how we're going to present it. Okay. Either verbally in an email, Zoom call. So there's different ways, or in person, because some individuals still don't do email and they want it done in person. So good questions. All right, number 14. Ooh, that's going to be a long one. Oh, man. All right, there we go. Two home buyers prospects walk into an open house and start talking to the seller's agent hosting the occasion. Okay, two home buyer prospects come to an open house and they start talking to the seller's agent hosting the occasion. So the agent representing the seller is hosting the open house. They inform the agent that they need help looking for properties in and around the neighborhood. What is the host's responsibility in this scenario with regards to representation? Right? That host represents the seller. A, the host must give the buyers the seller property condition brochure. B, the host does not have to disclose anything since there is no talk regarding price. C, the host must tell the buyers that he or she represents the seller of the open house property. Or D, the host must complete the dual agency disclosure. All right, so far I've got C, C. Hey, so you all are awesome. Boy, you really want to pass this test, asking me to stay longer and to review some Texas questions. Thank you for that. When I've got the time, I will please. And Saturday mornings is open for me to do this. And then after that, I market the YouTube video, do the search engine optimization. So I'm not done after class. Yes, the answer is C. The host must tell the buyers that they represent the seller of the open house property. Okay, because the listing agent is the one hosting the open house. So now these buyers could be something that we might represent. However, if they're interested in that particular house, we're letting them know, hey, I represent the seller, so I can answer questions that are publicly available, give you comparables. However, I cannot give you advice or any negotiation tips. We can just provide what is publicly available to everybody else, and that's on the MLS. Number 5. I type the answer, yes. Okay, which of the following scenario would require agency disclosure? A, two buyers tell an Austin agent that they are seriously considering moving from San Antonio to Austin. B, a buyer tells a licensee that they cannot live in a 2-story home. C, a buyer tells an agent at an open house that they like the listing at the end of the cul-de-sac with the detached garage. Specifics. A seller tells an agent that he and his wife are considering downscaling their main residence. So which of the following scenarios would require agency disclosure? Type your answer in the chat. The internet connection is great today. This hat is it's a little big. Well, darn. I can adjust it on the back. I like hats to fit me nice and tight. All right. Dun, dun, dun. 5C. Oh, yes, we're on number 5. Yes. Ooh, no, it is not A. The answer is C. A buyer and an agent at an open house. So which one would require agency disclosure? Okay. So a buyer tells an agent at an open house that they like the listing at the end of the cul-de-sac with the detached garage. So that buyer is specifying they're having a substantial conversation about a particular property, right? Substantial conversation is when they're getting into a little bit more discussion, more detailed, and they're specifying a particular property, then would require agency disclosure. Okay, information about brokerage services. Oh, shut. I read number 6. Oh, I get it. I'm sorry. Even though, guy, you're doing a Lillie, right? You type the 5 and the answer for. Hey, I don't feel so bad, Lisbeth. That's okay. She was answering number 6, even though it's not there completely. So whenever the buyer is asking additional information, particular information about a particular property, then we are required to disclose information about brokerage services. Ha 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 ha. Yeah. Thanks. Hey, I should have one of those little red buttons, right? Or something that laughs, like some of those online games, or TV games, The Price is Right. Hey! It's actually a recording of people applauding and stuff. I should get one of those things and have it on my desk. All right, number 6. Now we're on number 6. In which of the following instances does a broker have to disclose an agency relationship? In which of the following instances does a broker have to disclose an agency relationship? A, when the broker meets another principal party to the transaction, the buyer spouse. B, when an agent meets a relative at an open house. C, when an agent has completed a lease with a tenant and plans to meet the tenant the following day. Or D, whenever the agent receives a phone call while performing floor time duty. This is the one Lisbeth already had an answer for. Let's type your answer in the chat. Yes, well, I got to get some noises in the background, right? That would be fun. I would become even more wild, more crazy. Well, it is not B. The answer is A. When the broker meets another principal party to the transaction, the buyer's spouse. So if the buyer or spouse comes in, then they disclose an agency relationship. Hey, by the way, I have an agency relationship with you and your husband. I'm the realtor representing this property, your property. Okay. So it says in this situation, section 1101.558 specifically requires agents to disclose their representation status upon first contact. Am I reading the right one? Yes. So this prevents any unwanted exchange of confidential information. And so when it says principal party, right, that is, a seller or a buyer, okay, to the transaction, the buyer's spouse. So which instance does the broker have to disclose an agency relationship? When the broker meets another principal party to the transaction, the buyer's spouse. And let's see what other answers. Okay, B, let's see. When an agent meets a relative at an open house. So the best answer is when the broker meets. Okay, if you're meeting a relative, okay, and you're the representing of the seller, representative of the seller at an open house, yes, you're going to let them know that you represent the seller. However, when the broker meets another principal party to the transaction, that's when it really has to be done in order to prevent any unwanted exchange of confidentiality. All right, number 7. In a given agency relationship, a broker is obligated to disclose to a seller all material information known to the agent. This is an example of A, seller agency, B, buyer agency, C, dual agency, or D, intermediary agency. So in a given agency relationship, a broker is obligated to disclose to a seller all material information known to the agent. So what kind of agency relationship do they have? If they're dealing with a seller. So far we've got A. Come on, where are the rest of you? Let's answer. Take a risk. Let's do it. Do it to it. Hatu. 1, 2, 1, 2. Type your answer in the chat. Yes, the answer is A seller agency, right? Very good. Because it says a broker is obligated to disclose to a seller all material fact known to the agent. So what kind of agency relationship is this? Seller agency. What number are we on? Oh, number 8. Humbug. All right. Oh my goodness. There we go. Number 8. In the last paragraph of the disclosure information about brokerage services, IABS, there are several important recommendations made to prospective buyers and sellers. One of the most important of these is that what? A, whoever compensates the agent is the ultimate party that the agent is responsible to. B, whichever alternative is selected, the seller is the party the agent legally represents. C, the consumer must make a decision between buyer or seller agency or using an intermediary. Or D, if the consumer decides to be represented, that he or she should complete a written agreement. So type your answer. What's the answer for number 8? Okay, so far I've got D. Sorry about that buzz. Even though it's on Do Not Disturb. That's my iPhone. I like the Androids when it comes to that. I can put Do Not Disturb on iPhone. I think I have to put it on airplane mode. All right, the answer is D. That is correct. If the consumer decides to be represented, that he or she should complete a written agreement, right? It'll either be a listing agreement or a buyer rep agreement, right? Those are the two that specify representation. Very good, very good. What? I was typing the wrong answer on Facebook. All right, number 9. 3 of the following answers accurately characterize the duties of an intermediary. Which one does not? A, must treat parties honestly, fairly, and impartially. B, must not disclose confidential information regardless of circumstances. C, must disclose information materially impacting property condition. Or D, may not negotiate a lower or higher price without authorization. So which one does not meet it? No, go back, reread the question and the answers. Remember, some things have exceptions. D says may not negotiate a lower or higher price without authorization. Well, we don't negotiate. The client does. However, the client can make a stipulation in writing that we can allow, like in an auction situation, okay, that it can be increased 1,000 at a time or 5,000 at a time. But we're not the one doing the negotiation. It is our client. Yes, B, okay. May not disclose confidential information regardless of circumstances. If the courts are requiring it, then it will be disclosed. Okay, so 3 of the following. So the duties of an intermediary is we must disclose if the courts require the confidential information. So, here on the answers, we had A, must treat parties honestly, fairly, and impartially. B, may not disclose. C, must disclose. And D, may not negotiate, right? So one of the answers was must, which turns out, I'm sorry. 2 of the answers had must and 2 had may. So which one did not? 1 may not disclose confidential information. That one we are required if requested by law, by the courts. Okay, number 10. And this will be our last one. We're at 2 hours now. A broker decides to represent both sides of a single transaction. If they proceed to do this, which of the following consequences applies? A, they must act as an intermediary. Okay, remember, this is Texas. B, they must represent the seller and get someone else to represent the buyer. C, they must obtain the verbal permission of all parties. Or D, since dual agency is illegal, he will be violating license law. Which one is correct? A, B, C, or D? So, 3 of them have the word must in it, and 1 says dual agency. Well, right away, out, right? We're not a dual agency state. So that one's out. So it's one of the A, B, or 3. That's a must. No, it is not D, Carol. So a broker decides to represent both sides. So what happens in the state of Texas when a broker represents both sides? They must act as an intermediary. Letter A. Okay. Dual agency is illegal in Texas. They will be violating license law. Well, they're not going, since dual agency is illegal, so it's not, okay? They will be an intermediary. Yes, dual agency is illegal here. So we're going to be doing, their broker is going to be intermediary, okay? They're not a dual agency. They're not representing each client directly, right? Remember, they don't give advice. They're like the mediator. They don't give advice and negotiate for them. When the umbrella, okay, the broker has many agents under them, and one agent represents is legally it's a says on the document, broker assigns one agent to seller and assigns one agent to buyer. So now the broker on top represents both through a buyer agent and where are my fingers? And a seller agent, right? So both agents are under the same broker, okay, because they're doing both sides of the transaction. And the agents are the associates to the broker. Each of those agents can advise and negotiate and help negotiate with their clients, okay? However, the broker is like a mediator. So the answer is A. They must act as an intermediary. So yeah, answered that fast. Okay. Thank you so much for the extra questions. I appreciate it. Getting ready for the next state exam, and I'm going to pass. Yes, pass, pass, pass. Say, I passed, I passed, I passed. Wish you the best. You're going to have an easy exam. You're going to have an easy exam. Say, I have an easy exam. I get an easy exam. And I pass, I pass, I pass. Ask, believe, and receive. Okay, what did Delta Airsoft say? So when a broker represents both sides, it's intermediary. But when an agent represents both sides, it's a dual agency. That's right. Well, in Texas, we do not have dual agency. Okay. However, in other states, when an agent represents both sides, yeah, they're a dual agent, but that is also the broker. The broker can be a dual agent, represent both sides and give advice and directions and help them negotiate. That is a dual agent because the broker is also an agent, right? They're also considered a salesperson, a realtor. So the broker can actually be representing both clients, or a realtor can be representing both clients instead of having two separate realtors. Okay. In that case, the broker or the same agent can represent both sides. And that is in a dual agency situation, in a dual agency state, not in Texas. Okay. So in Texas, it is intermediary, and the broker cannot advise or negotiate with them, help them with their negotiations. Okay. Then each of the agents that represents one client is the one that directly helps the client totally. Okay. So Carol says, yes, I will pass. That's right. We're here to learn and prepare to pass, pass, pass. Keep that in your mind. Okay. I used to meditate every day when I wanted something really good. I would meditate and say, yeah, I passed, I passed, I passed, I passed. Did it every day, several times. Okay. Ask it, believe it, see it, reach for it, and you'll get it. Okay. We've got to have the confidence. Of course, we've got to have the knowledge. It's not luck. All right. If we say we got lucky, it's because we were prepared. We studied. We did what it took. Our mindset was right. Okay. We were thinking positive, and we understood the questions and the answers. Sometimes guessing, yes, does help, right? So when we don't know something, what the instructors here recommend, or the books, the authors, right, is that there are 3 or 4 consecutive answers. Usually if there's 4 answers consecutive, and one of the 4 you're not aware of what the answer is, look and see what the others are. If they're all B's, choose B, because a lot of times they'll have 4 continuing questions, okay, sequential questions that have the same answer. So if when in doubt and don't know at all, look at the answers before or after and choose the same answer. If they're all A, choose A. If they're all B, choose B. Anyone online passed one of the exams already? Yes, Cindy has passed the national. And I've had several realtors that passed the exams, last week. But I have several messenger groups where I comment, okay, whenever somebody passed. I have a national group. I have 2 separate Texas groups because I already have more than the limit on messenger on one of them. And then I have a Rio Grande Valley group and I have a San Antonio group. So when somebody passes and they're in that group, then I congratulate them within that group and others get to see. So last week I had a young lady that took the exam, passed the national, and scheduled the state to take it the next day again and passed it the second time. So yes, Cindy has passed the national. I can't remember Lisbeth where she's at. Because Cindy just stated earlier she needed to practice Texas and the agency and brokerage and standard conducts. So can anybody answer to that question? Who besides Cindy? Hey, have any of you checked out the little shorts that I started posting? I'm taking a portion of a prior video, right, and stressing that, like I did one. I was awake at 1, 2 o'clock or something, and so I'm messing around with my phone. And I did one on vocabulary. My opening on one of the videos was that. So I did a short on that. It's required. It's a must. It is needed. I said vocabulary is what you need, okay, to pass or for real estate, to understand real estate. So has anybody watched any of my shorts? Give me some recommendations on YouTube, okay? And let me know, because I just started learning how to do shorts and how to create a short within a prior video. And then you'll be able to, when you watch the short at the bottom, it'll tell you, click here to go to the video, or this short is from a particular video. If you click that, it takes you to the main video. And so that's the intent of my shorts from older videos, is I'm stressing a topic that I believe that many of you should be studying, and vocabulary, the contract, what was another one? Property transfer. Okay. So I'm doing those shorts on topics that I see a lot of issues with. So I just started doing them. Learning all the time. Okay. So you all aren't the ones studying and learning all the time. This is something we have to do our whole life to stay mentally active and to continue learning and stay alive. And in real estate, that's what you're going to have to do. I'm going to start creating some other little videos or little shorts that will tell you, do you really want to be a realtor? Oh my gosh, what the heck? Really? Some crazy funny thing. I want to do some funny ones. I was recording little funny topics on how I'm going to do a short, right? To get attention, so great. Not yet. All right. So you haven't taken the exam yet. Okay. Cindy must be gone. All right, y'all. So if you haven't been to my YouTube channel, YouTube AgentPrep, make sure to go over there, tap that subscribe button. You know what to do now. And click that little bell so you're the first to get notified, and give me a thumbs up. For all of you that are here watching on YouTube, hey, give me a thumbs up and send me some love. And those who watched on here, go to YouTube and do me a thumbs up, okay? And make sure you subscribe. So again, I'm also an active realtor working here in the state of Texas, in the San Antonio metro area, and in the Rio Grande Valley. And I just did my goals for next year. So I'm getting off my butt to do a lot of more real estate this year and more education and training for all of you to get your business going. and teach you how to do things. So is there a lot of math questions on the exams? Some yes, some no. Some of them will have 8 math questions, okay, either on the national or on the state. Okay, a lot of them are on the national. And however, the state, will have some because interest rates are specific to certain states. So let me see the math section on here. I haven't really done much as far as math. Okay, but you've got basic math. Okay, you have basic math, okay, that you'll see, and little simple fractions like that you want to learn and understand. Percentages, how to convert a percentage written this way as a decimal into percentages, how to divide percentages, how to multiply, okay, the T formula, and how to divide percentages, okay, how to multiply them, decimals. You will have a lot of these. You could have 8 to 10 questions, I think. So converting, addition and subtraction, multiplication, linear questions, like when you're dealing with frontage on the front of a property. Okay. So let's see. Cindy says, I just seen this. Yes and no. I'm sorry. Oh, that's okay. So yes, she's already passed one exam. She passed the national. Now she's going to take the state. So 45 questions and probably less than 10. Yes. So on the state, you've got 40 questions and you probably have about 8 math questions, if at that. Okay, not always. And then on the national, you have 85 questions for a sales agent and for a broker. And I forget, each exam is different. So sometimes you may not have any. I've had some realtors say they didn't have any math questions. So that doesn't happen a lot, but there are so many exams out there, okay, that they use. They have a pool of exams. So on the state, sales agents get 40 questions and brokers get 60 questions. So basically they're the same questions, but they're graded on more. So on state, brokers get 60 more questions. Okay, 60 questions, not more. All right, so, you've got for leases, how to calculate that, contracts for sale. We've had a few questions on that throughout the exams. And here's something like maybe a T formula, fee paid equals loan amount times points. So you've got to review them. I know many individuals do not like math. Learn it, because sometimes it might take a couple of math questions to help you pass if you missed a lot of questions on other exams, okay? So you may have investment questions, okay? Appreciation, cap rate, okay? Appreciation rate. So those are some examples. Compounded appreciation, rate of return, okay? Rate equals income over value, value equals income over rate. They just changed the denominator. Okay, the capital gain, the basis, adjusted basis, capital gains. So an adjusted basis, you're taking beginning basis plus capital improvements minus total depreciation. Go and learn these formulas, okay? Because you just don't know when you're going to have some or not. So this is real estate taxations. So I may do a review, a session, or some shorts, okay, with some of these formulas. So please, yes, who was it that asked? Delta Soft, Airsoft. Yes, please practice questions, okay? You may have commission, math problems, closing prorations, costs, okay? You have to remember whether they're asking you for monthly or yearly. And if it's monthly answer, then you multiply by 12. If they want a monthly answer, a yearly answer, you multiply by 12 on the monthly. If it's a monthly answer and you have a yearly solution, then you've got to divide by 12. So, and then there's also about insurance coverage, recovery, and co-insurance. Okay, so yes, please, I don't do a lot of math review, okay? When I asked, I have done some. I typically do it within the questions, okay, that we review for Texas and national. All right, any other questions before I call it a day? I'm here to help you pass. I want all of you to pass and become realtors and have successful businesses. But realize that if you don't pass, you're not a failure, okay? You just go and study some more, watch videos, study from different YouTubers that teach, and take it again. And don't take so long between taking the exams. Keep studying every day. All right, y'all. Until next time, Monday. Catch you later. Bye. Love ya.